Hi there, you're listening to Unnatural Selection, the show about newsy type stuff and things. My name is George.
My name is Tom.
And my name is Adam.
And with our powers combined, we are Unnatural Selection. Make sure you visit us at our salubrious home on the web, unnaturalshow.com.
And yes, even you could be walking away with this Kia Sorento.
I was literally going to say a Kia. I don't know why I was going to chip in with that exact same joke.
It's the
It's a really affordable and quality car brand.
You too could walk away with a Hyundai Sonata.
Yeah, it's like, the car that I want to win is one that's really affordable.
Yeah.
Like, I want to win the car I could buy myself. No, I want to win a car that I'll never be able to afford in my life.
I want the Maserati. Yeah, I want a G6.
Yeah.
I want to win the car that's a plane.
You want a hot body? I want a Maserati.
I do want a hot body and a Maserati.
You better work, bitch.
I bet I do. I need to work.
I was not aware of. I was not aware of that Britney Spears song until shockingly late in my life, and I think it's her magnum opus.
Yeah.
It's a really good film clip. That's about all I can say about that song.
I don't think I've seen the film clip. I've just heard the accent that she's doing through the whole song, and I'm like, brilliant. Oh, hot body.
It's
what you can imagine based on the context of the song. So
is it her like
sitting
behind a desk and working heaps to earn money to buy that Maserati?
Pulling long hours at the firm, just really working overtime at the corporate law firm. It's 11 o'clock at night. She orders some Thai food because she hasn't eaten. Just
Harvey
pulling
Specter
long
walks
hours. Harvey Specter. The firm gets taken over. Again.
Yeah, and what else could the video clip be? The song's called Work, Bitch. I assume it's
not that.
It's Britney Spears working. No?
Working while dancing.
Working as a professional dancer? Like, rising up through the ranks of like the New York Dance Company?
This is a news and politics podcast where we talk about newsy type stuff and things. Sadly,
and very topical, relevant stories like what Britney Spears was doing 20 years ago. I don't know how old that song is.
About
20 years.
Britney Spears' 2006 hit "Work, Bitch." So this, news and politics podcast. Where we talk about newsy type stuff and things. And the top story on today's agenda is Donald Trump has been indicted.
What? Is it several months ago?
No. Deja vu. It's funny how the first time Trump does something, we're like, we're living through history. What's happening? What's going on? And then the second time he does it, it's like, you already did it.
Yeah. He's like, wait. So hang on, he's been indicted again? Like, was this for the same thing as last time?
No, totally different thing.
Crimes.
Yeah, but I remember at the time it was like a 2-week news story. There were people camped out in the grounds in front of the court in New York, like, it was like
waiting for him to show up.
People turning up overnight like it's the new iPhone or the new Harry Potter book, being like, I got to get the new Trump indictment. They were doing like a ticketing system at the courthouse for the New York Times reporter. Someone had to like stand in line and like take a ticket like it's a deli and like wait in line to see who got admittance to the courthouse because everyone wanted to be there for his historic moment. And then this time around, everyone's like, we know he did it.
Whatever. What's this for? Espionage? No. Not worth it.
Who cares? So former US president and current duffel bag of shit, Donald Trump, has been indicated again for he's been indicted. Indicted for his handling of...
They've indicted me for this bitch hunt. Wait.
He's been indicted for holding secret documents at his Mar-a-Lago resort and then refusing to give them back to the Congressional Library when asked. And then, there
was a big FBI raid. It was a deal a while ago. What was that, back in January? Did that happen this year? But we're now getting some of the more juicy details, which is fun. I think amazingly, like a lot of Trump news, this actually does seem to break because he talks about it on Truth Social rather than the reporting. Like the first news I saw of this most recent indictment was that like all the articles were framed as Trump says he's been indicted.
Yeah.
So I took that to be, okay, so he might not have been. But he just takes to Truth Social.
Famous for constantly lying.
Yeah, it goes all caps. I've been indicted.
I mean, it's a classic move of like from the Trump campaign type people to be like, we know an indictment's like going to be announced shortly.
Yeah.
Like we're going to try and get ahead of the narrative and try and sort of control it. Same thing with the Mueller report that they did, like completely vindicated, found innocent. And just kind of like rewrote it to serve their own ends by taking control of the narrative. That's what they're trying to do here. So this, so we got all a hostage video from Donald Trump here on Truth Social. It says
lighting isn't great.
The audio is nearly as bad as the video and the lighting setup. So it's clearly just been thrown together in front of some very strange looking portrait. There's a man twirling his mustache evilly. Right behind the Donald, which is like
cartoonishly, villainously,
which is like something out of that's something out of a play or something. It's like some absurdist
Christie's sort of
or a very pantomime. Like, you know, where is he?
He's behind
or it's a Wes Anderson film. No one knows.
Don't get me started on the Wes Anderson craze on TikTok. Okay, so here's Donald Trump saying some words.
It's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax, just like Russia, just like the fake dossier was a hoax. You saw the Durham report. You saw the Mueller report. It was all a big hoax. You had 2 impeachments, and they lost and we won. And we had tremendous support. But that was a hoax and a scam. And now they're doing it again. It's just a continuation, 7 years, even after I'm out. But it's called election interference. They're trying to destroy a reputation so they can win an election. That's just as bad as doing any of the other things that have been done over the last number of years, and especially during the 2020 election. So I just want to tell you, I'm an innocent man. I did nothing wrong. And we will fight this out just like we've been fighting for 7 years. It would be wonderful if we could devote our full time to making America great again. And that's exactly what we did. But now, again, our country is in decline. We're a failing nation. And this is what they do. I'm an innocent man. We will prove that again. 7 years of proving it. And here we go again. Very unfair. But that's the way it is. I just want to thank everybody. We are doing something very special for our country. We're putting America first. I always put America first. And that's why we were in a position. Unfortunately, that position is no longer valid because they've done such a poor job. But we're in a position where we're going to make America great again. I'm innocent, and we will prove that very, very soundly and hopefully very quickly. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, the sentence, I'm an innocent man, just sounds wrong coming out of his mouth. Like, it just doesn't. Those don't feel like words he should ever be saying in that order.
Well, you can tell he's an innocent man because he says, I'm an innocent man 13 times. And that's what innocent men do. It's like, I'm an innocent man. I'm not guilty of all these crimes. You remember these crimes? Yeah. You remember the crimes I did before that? Innocent of those as well. 7 years of people accusing me of crimes. And I'm completely vindicated. I'm so innocent that I keep constantly being accused of crimes. That's what happens to innocent people. Al Capone said the same thing. Totally innocent. They've been pursuing me. It's a witch hunt. Totally innocent of all these crimes that I'm constantly being accused of.
Yeah, it just like the old adage goes, methinks the lady doth protest not enough.
Not enough protesting from this lady.
I mean, to be fair, I seriously think he thinks he's innocent.
He believes it.
Oh, he believes it.
This is the thing with Donald Trump, is that he believes everything he says. It's not like that's like he's a sociopath, right?
Yeah.
Like, but no ability to sort of go.
And it's so funny because it's like clearly just like completely unrehearsed. They're just like, okay, bullet points. Number one, bloody coming after me again.
That was the better one.
Witch hunt. I'm an innocent man. And like Mueller report, impeachments, that was all bullshit. Hey, and just go. I
love it. Those two impeachments were a hoax. You were impeached.
You were impeached.
You just weren't removed.
Yes.
Like you can't act like no. Like the impeachments. I won. It's like you were impeached.
Yeah.
Like
the only president
to not remove.
The only president to be twice impeached. He's like, remember that? That was all bullshit. It's all bullshit. The whole thing is trash.
Yeah.
Remember how innocent I am, and I'm going to list off all my crimes to make you remember how innocent I am.
Yeah. So, yeah. Sorry, Adam, go ahead.
No, yeah. I was going to say when that video came out, the indictment was sealed. Even he didn't really know what he was actually being charged with. This is the other thing. He's making that video. Hadn't actually.
I definitely didn't kill that hooker. She was dead when I found
actually
her.
know what's in the indictment.
That horse's
that's
head
true.
got into the guy's bed totally by accident. Well, it's not about that. That's the document. The documents. I didn't do the documents either.
That really
They
is
knew
the
it
thing
was-
of like, I don't know what the indictment is. It's like, I don't know what they said I did, but whatever it is, I didn't do it.
I think they knew it was something to do with the documents, but they didn't know what charges. Anyway, he's since got summoned to court and they unsealed it. And
Yeah.
has been charged with 37 criminal accounts, including the willful retention of national defense information and conspiracy to obstruct justice. Now we know they did the raid back in January.
Mhm.
What we've now got as a part of the unsealing of this indictment are photos, which
Yes.
are delicious, shall we say?
There is a large volume of boxes.
Yeah, it wasn't like Trump's made this out to be like, oh, I just had a couple of documents, like whatever. There is several rooms worth of filing boxes that they had and that he specifically requested to be removed from the White House.
Yeah.
And taken with him to Mar-a-Lago. And they obviously, look, it's a resort. It's not exactly the space you would have, a well-secured filing system. So they just had to sort of make do.
And there's an image now which has become famous, which has been
Yep.
contained in the indictment against former President Donald Trump, which shows boxes of records stored in a bathroom and a shower in the lake room at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach. And this is like, it's the most Trump thing I've ever seen. It's just like, it's a marble bathroom, gaudy chandelier hanging from the roof, and just like 20 or 30 boxes of just documents hanging out in the shitter for anyone to just walk across.
Yeah, fantastic to keep all these boxes of presumably paper documents in arguably the most moist room in your house, the bathroom.
I don't think the bathroom was being used.
But
It was
someone
clear.
quickly
Hang
washes
on.
their hands in there or something, and
To be clear,
steam and
I think this bathroom was being used by someone because the path to the toilet in and out is clear, and there's there's towels on the on the basin, so it definitely looks as though someone is using this toilet on a fairly regular basis.
Also, can I just point out,
I don't know.
unless this photo's been weirdly skewed here in the article, how far off the fucking wall does that toilet come? Like
American
it
toilets are
goes,
weird.
like, halfway into the room.
American
they've got
toilets
wide
are a
toilets.
bit weird.
This
they're
isn't
like
wide.
they
This
function
is
differently.
deep.
Yeah,
This is
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
I don't like, if my butt is like right near the cistern at the back, my knees will probably be touching the lip of the toilet. Like, that looks deep.
they got big old toilets.
Yeah, that's weird.
The
It's
other
very-
thing being, I mean, this is me nitpicking. Okay, article aside, issues aside, why have a marble floor and marble bench top and then have a fucking shower curtain? Like, why have a shower? That's disgusting. That's like very 1980s. Yuck. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
There's a chandelier next to the shower curtain. That doesn't go. It doesn't match
Yeah,
my
that's very
interior design
strange.
bones.
And also,
The decor leaves a little bit to be desired.
and I don't know how tall these box stacks are, but I also feel like I would smash my head into that chandelier. Like, it looks pretty low. Like, you'd walk out of the shower and just go boom straight into it and then slip and break your back.
That's
But
a good one.
yeah, there's just some amazing photos from this. Also, they were all over the stage in a function room. And also they just seemed precariously stacked. There were accounts of someone just bumping the boxes and then they fell open and state secrets just spilled
And there
across
was
the
there's
wall.
also like voice memos where like Donald Trump admitted on tape that
But he had them.
that he had them and that he couldn't like retroactively like declassify them with his own mind because he's no longer the president anymore, and he knows that and he's keeping them anyway. And then there was a clumsy effort to like move and hide boxes from the FBI as well, like prior to them being raided, I think. So it's just like, it's so obviously like you obviously, I don't want to like
You knew you shouldn't have had these.
prejudge. I don't want to prejudge the process, but he did it, y'all. He did a crime. And if he was like a second lieutenant in the Navy who had done the same thing, he would be in jail for the rest of his life. Like he would already be in jail. There's no doubt about it. Like there's
Well, I mean,
let's see how the facts come out and what's going on with the emails. So what about her emails? Like, it's like he definitely did this crime. The question is like whether he's going to be held accountable for it or not.
Yeah, and same with like, it's like that guy, the Minecraft Discord dude. Like they raided the absolute fucking shit out of that place after that happened. Like, none of that seems to be happening here. This was like months and months and months of going, do you have the documents?
Polite letters being like,
I don't have the documents. Okay, we'll trust you. But seriously, do you have the documents? No, definitely don't have the documents. We think you have the documents. And they just did this over and over and over till they raided him.
Here's a selfie we found of you with a box that says secret documents lol. I don't know if it does definitely seem like you have the documents.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of the things, I don't know if I'm just inferring this from some of the reporting, but it seems that what they are saying here as well is that they think he was showing off to guests that he had all this top secret shit.
Yeah, literally.
And
it's in a ballroom. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming at some point.
Some of them in the ballroom, but
in July 2021, this is from Politico, Trump showed a writer, a publisher, and 2 staff members a, quote, plan of attack that he said had been prepared for him by the US military, the charges say. The audio recorded meeting reportedly involved a document that Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Mark Milley drafted about Iran. Trump allegedly made a potentially damning admission that at that session, saying he could have declassified the documents while he was president, but, quote, now I can't. So it's like, it's literally him saying,
this shit's top secret.
This is really top secret, and could have declassified it, but I can't now because I'm no longer the president. So I know I'm doing something wrong, and I'm doing it anyway. Boy, I really sure hope no one's audio recording this conversation.
Oh, and here's another one where it's like a transcript. I think transcript of a similar recording saying like that alleged that Trump showed a representative of his political action committee a classified map relating to a military operation and told them not to get too close. Like, oh no, hey, see this map? You better not look at it though.
But I have
it, but don't look at it.
It's the equivalent of the high school student like getting the little hand circle with the fingers pointed up, putting it below your waist and being like, don't look at this, and then you look at it and then they punch you in the shoulder. That's the
circle game.
Well, it just seems to be him just wanting to do like hey, how cool am I for having classified shit, but don't look at it though, because that could send me to jail. But I want the clout that I have it, but don't look at it.
It's classified, so you can see it, but like, don't look too closely at it, because that would be unclassified if you saw the detail.
Yeah.
So after these
bonkers.
After these criminal counts, the indictment was unsealed. He then had a rally in Georgia and then went on an 84-minute rant.
He can talk for 84 straight minutes?
He talked for 84 straight minutes about this, and it was, as George said, absolutely unhinged. Then 2 of his senior lawyers quit this morning as well.
Great. Good side.
Amazing.
They looked at all the stuff and we're like, we can't defend this guy.
I didn't know that was an option for lawyers. It seems like all these lawyers in these, the Good Fight and the Good Wife, these lawyers are just like, well, my client's a drug cartel boss, but god damn it, everyone deserves a defense. Like, it's like these lawyers are defending Donald Trump, and they're like, see the evidence, and they're like, see ya, bye.
Oh yeah, I guess that is the thing. It's like everyone's entitled to a defense. It does not have to be me though.
Yeah.
I don't have to be the one doing it.
So,
I mean, we've said this many times on the show. This is just another brick in the gigantic wall of shit that is all the things Donald Trump has clearly done.
That wall of shit.
Yeah. Like, just, I mean, we're hardly surprised that he does all this kind of stupid bullshit. The only thing that continues to surprise me is that none of it's stuck. Like,
well, it seems like some chickens are coming home to roost. I mean,
I fucking hope so.
These 2 indictments, this one and the Stormy Daniels payoff one that we know about, and there's another potentially 2 indictments coming. So it seems like by the time we actually get into the presidential campaign proper, it's entirely possible that he could have multiple adverse findings against him from not just a civil perspective like with the Eugene Carroll case, but like from a criminal perspective as well.
Yeah.
And I would just
fingers
love
crossed.
for these
Federal and
motherfuckers,
state level as well.
these motherfuckers to take this candidate to the general with like pin cushioned full of, he's just like Pinhead from that fucking Hellraiser film, just like, and just each one of the pins is like a different, I'm writing a political cartoon for someone who wants to draw this. Each one of those pins in Pinhead's head is just a different indictment. You know, one says Stormy Daniels, one says secret documents, one says, you know, vote count in Georgia, like, yeah, Raffensperger. Like, it's just unreal.
I also just further love how they're trying, because I haven't watched the 84-minute speech, but just some of the cliff notes that I saw there, that of course they're already trying to spin this as like, I think he even said the phrase like, they're not coming for me, they're coming for you. Like, to be like, you know, because they're just doing this purely to ruin my political, like, you know, my re-election campaign aspirations, to try and like discredit me, and, you know, but I am the will of you people. So like, you know, they're coming for you. Like, if they're coming for me, they can come for you. And I've seen like, you know, right-wing fuckheads on Twitter being like, yeah, first they'll come for Trump, then they'll come for you. And I'm like, well, good thing I don't have like fucking boxes of classified shit.
Yeah, better get rid of you. Next time you steal a bunch of secret documents from the White House, you too could be in trouble. It's like, yeah, that's what happens to everyone who steals secret documents. It's like,
also kind of fun being watching the various Republican people, whether it be current people that are currently in power or people that are running for president, just sort of react
in inverted commas.
Yeah. You've got like McCarthy being like, it's a very dark day for America. And some people are saying, you know, it's government overreach. And then we'll talk about it in a second. But there's the whole Hunter Biden thing going, what about the whataboutism of that?
What about Hillary's emails? What about the boxes of documents that that Biden had? All that sort of stuff. Like, yeah, I saw someone point that out. Like, they'll come for Biden next. Ha. Like, oh, you want to come for Trump, but you're not coming for Biden? It's like, no, I'd be happy for them to come for Biden if he's also committed this crime. The law applying equally? A crazy concept.
The idea is that, like, if you're the president, you're someone that's in a unique position of authority, and you get a lot of fucking leeway as an ex-president, right? Like, as you say, with that the guy who leaked the files into the Discord server, they were stormtroopers kicking his fucking door down, you know, within days, right, of that information coming out that this guy had leaked this secret Pentagon information. If you're the president, you get a lot of leeway. There's the Congressional Library was writing saying, do you have these documents? And they'll go back and forth from the lawyers. Like, they gave him a lot of latitude to be like, here's the documents, no harm, no foul. And when Biden's people uncovered their documents, they alerted the relevant people. They said, hey, we're doing an inspection of all Joe Biden's offices and, you know, residences that he has around the place to see if there's anything else. And they turned up other documents, which were then handed over. There's a difference between I've stolen documents and I'm keeping them against the government's will versus I've accidentally taken documents and I'm trying to find them, and here they all are. And I'm going to cooperate fully with the investigation. Like, those are two 100%. Different scenarios. And Trump has just, like, in classic Trump style, is like, deny, delay, defer tactics have actually worked against him, because if he just cooperated with the investigation and just handed the documents over, it would be a non-story. Like, it'd be the same as the Biden story, and then they'd be on equal footing. They could go, well, what about your documents? Or what about your documents? Cancels each other out. But because he was such a fastidious fuckhead about making sure that he retained these documents that he doesn't need for no reason other than bragging rights to interns, like, because he's been such an...
And maybe Kid Rock, I think, in the timeline, like, it was about a year ago that people have been throwing this around to show Trump's idiocy, that, like, he asked Kid Rock, what should I do about ISIS and all that? Or
famous geostrategic genius Kid Rock. So if he wasn't such a fuckhead, it would have been fine. But the problem
less of a problem for him. Yeah.
It's because he's been so obstinate and annoying that it's turned into a crime. This wouldn't have been a big deal if you just handed the documents over.
Yeah.
Well, in
a fuckhead.
In a way of diverting the narrative, many months ago, a laptop belonging to Hunter Biden was, I guess, stolen, or the data was downloaded from it. I can't remember the exact circumstances.
So
it was suing the person.
He took it to, I think it came out like days before the 2020 election that the news story first emerged. It was like, and it was, so Hunter Biden had left this laptop somewhere at a computer repair place, and then someone had gotten their hands on it and taken a bunch of images off it. And there was suggestion that there was something about corrupt practices and him engaging in a bunch of illegal behavior, drug taking and prostitution, all this sort of stuff. And everyone was like, well, this seems really suspiciously close to an election. We're just going to go ahead and fucking ignore this story because this has, like, Rudy Giuliani was the one who produced the laptop. It's like, how the fuck did Rudy Giuliani get this laptop? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? This all seems like a scam. So, like, the story was out there, but it wasn't really, like, pushed before the election. And it's like, I'm perfectly fine with us, like, as a society, like, roundly ignoring a piece of political attack material, like, because Hunter Biden is not running for president of the United States, and so who gives a shit? Like,
especially if the story is, the president's son has drug abuse issues and does all these sorts of things. It's like, okay, that's sad.
Yeah, that's a sad thing.
Okay, like, Hunter Biden's not the president.
There was the closest thing that I heard of, like, a real allegation of corruption around it was, like, Hunter Biden, he's had this job at Burisma, which is a Ukrainian, like, petroleum company. And there's something about, there was some line in one of these emails about him, like, kicking something upstairs to the big guy. And so everyone's like, oh, he's kicking money up to Biden. And it's obviously, like, political corruption gone wild.
Nepotism.
Yeah. And it's
there was an FBI, apparently someone in the FBI told Giuliani, or Giuliani referred it to the FBI, basically, or something like that. That there was an informant or someone that basically said that there was, some meat there, basically, where there was a $5 million payoff. But the FBI haven't pursued anything because they don't believe the source to be reliable. So,
and even if it were true, what you're describing is just like garden variety political, like pay for access. Like, I'm not surprised. Like, if it were the case that, the whole reason that Hunter Biden has or had a job with Burisma is because they want some sort of access to the guy who they think is going to be his president, right? A powerful political figure. But that's not the same thing as, like, I hand you a canvas bag full of dollars and you give me, a ban on Roe versus Wade. Like, it's not as obvious. Like, it's subtle political corruption, but, like, all of that is legal. That's just pay for access, run of the mill sort of corruption, right?
Yeah.
So,
donation.
But what happened recently, which, seems conveniently timed, within a week leading up to an indictment of Donald Trump, was one of the former Trump aides, or, like, member of the Trump administration, released, like, 10,000 photos from Hunter Biden's laptop. And they're all, pictures. It said it took them a while to go through these photos. That's why it's taken so long, because they needed to redact all the nudity and all the faces of the other people in the pictures and all this sort of
I'm
stuff.
sure they're really concerned.
Because they are pictures of, like, naked Hunter Biden with naked women in hotel rooms and him doing drugs and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, oh, convenient that you just decide to drop this, like, soon before your former boss is going to be indicted on 37 charges. Like, while they might not have known exactly what the indictments were, they clearly knew that this sort of thing was coming, right? So it just seems
10,000 photos. I don't have 10. So do you guys have 10,000 photos?
Why is he taking so many photos? That's a lot of photos.
I might have 10,000 photos, like, cumulatively across my entire damn life, but I don't think I have 10,000 photos of me partying like a rock star. Like,
you're not doing it right.
It's like, is this the gotcha you think it is? Like, substance abuse.
Look at him. Look at this guy. He's getting his dick sucked. He's fucking all these hot chicks. He's doing drugs. There's a condom wrapper in this one, so he's practicing safe sex. What a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, it's like, look at this guy with hot naked ladies. What a fuckwit. Like, oh, no, good for him, I guess. Like, what? I don't care.
Yeah, again, Hunter Biden, not the president.
I know that...
could not give less of a shit.
I know that sex work is not legal in the States, so I guess, there's that whole thing, but I don't believe it should be legal, so I don't judge the guy for engaging sex workers. If everyone's consenting and they're being paid, you're fine by me. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, no, and as we all know, both of Donald Trump's sons have never engaged in any kind of drug use or anything
never.
like that. So they
You mean who was the guy?
Pure as the driven snow is Donald Trump Jr. Yeah, the driven snow being what he puts up his fucking nose every night.
Was he the one at the car park rally? Eyes wide. Was it car park? I don't know. When Trump lost the election, like eyes wide.
Obviously
open.
high on coke. Yeah.
Oh, was that at the Four Seasons Total Landscaping thing?
Might have been that one. Was it? No, that was a different one. I think actually, I might have getting those two events conflated. But there was a shot of him, either him or Kushner, one of the two, after the election result, and he was just like eyes wide.
Yeah.
With,
I also remember, I think it was the Republican National Convention or something, like where his wife also gave the best is yet to come, like terrifying villain speech.
Kimberly Guilfoyle is his girlfriend. I don't think she's his wife.
Oh, they might not be married. Oh, okay. Don Trump Jr. being like
former Fox News
sweaty, like sweaty and slightly bloodshot eyes. Everyone's like, "You okay, bud?"
Really anxious.
It's like, you do not look well.
It's sad, but it's like it is a real thing that the sons and daughters of famous rich people turned out to be spoiled drug addicts. Like that is a real phenomenon. That's a thing that happens.
Yeah, there'd be a combination of like, access and like, you'd be at parties where someone's like, "Oh, I have a key bump of cocaine." Like, we're all rich, whatever, it's on me. And then so you've had access to the drugs, and then there's all this sort of stuff. It's the same with people. I know, I forget who said this. It might have been Tim Minchin, actually. Just an interesting super sidebar, but him just talking in an interview about, when you start walking in famous circles, you are just suddenly at all these events where people like have drugs and excessive amounts of alcohol
eyes wide shut
to you, or like people who treat like women as just a commodity. To be like just throwing like babes at you and stuff. He's like, you can see how people just fall off the deep end if you aren't smart or not smart necessarily, but like have better control. So like, of course, like the kids of like the super wealthy and elite would be just as, if not more, predisposed, surely, to like huge substance abuse problems as like, what other media outlets will tout as like, the poor underprivileged sort of areas are full of crackheads. It's like, the rich, very privileged is also full of crackheads.
Just watch Gossip Girl and you'll know all about it. Or Succession, probably a better example. I just finished watching that.
I've been watching a lot of Euphoria, and holy shit. Good show. Would recommend.
Anyway, so the season 8 of America is just getting started. Whether or not it's going to be the final season, not sure.
I think it should have been cancelled. I think it's run its course.
We've been expecting the final season for yonks now, and they just keep getting funding. They keep getting renewed. First it was picked up by Peacock, then it moved over to Amazon.
Technically, it's season 256, depending on how you look at it. But
that's true. They did have that hiatus in the 90s. And then September 11 happened, and they were like, "Revival, baby!"
They're chucking out 22 episode seasons as well, which is,
too many episodes. I think that's the Good Wife made this mistake. They just overextended themselves. They got 22 episodes a season. The Good Fight, much more sensible. Okay, the sequel, they got 10 episodes, high quality, hour-long drama. They can swear. Like it's a much better sort of situation.
Wait, did they do a sequel to The Good Wife called The Good Fight?
Yes. It was more political, but a lot of the same characters were from The Good Wife. But it's more like an anti-Trump kind of like political, so fighting the good fight kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It just feels weird. The Good Wife, they sound too similar. I know you want similarity for like, brand recognition.
That's what we call branding and marketing.
Yeah. But there's marketing and there's marketing.
Well, the Reserve Bank probably could do with some marketing here in Australia. They've got an image problem.
Who wants to be the PR agency for the RBA? That is a job people would quit in droves. The same lawyers that quit Donald Trump's campaign to look at the RBA and go, "Nah, I'm not gonna get involved with that either."
Have a Facebook account? I don't know. Let's have a look.
Oh, surely they must. But just for my knowledge, as you know, as we all know, I understand very little about money and think $1 trillion coin will save us all. But before, like, the past 2 years,
you have a Facebook page.
Was the governor of the RBA ever a household name?
Ever? Yeah, look, Glenn Stevens did get. Yeah, like they're in the news. Whether or not they would be trending on Twitter is another question.
Everyone I know, I can just say Philip Lowe, and they're like, "Oh yeah, the Reserve Bank guy who keeps making mortgages worse." I'm like, I don't think I could name. Yeah, so Glenn Stevens. All right, cool, great. I could not have named a single previous governor.
Stevens was a dry piece of shit as well. Like, he was not very watchable.
I don't think you become Reserve Bank governor because of an abundance of charisma. I think it's because you've just been like, you've actually genetically enhanced your body with genes from a spreadsheet. Like, I think that's how it works, is you're just like so deeply ensconced in the spread. And that's why I think Phil Lowe is such an awkward fuck at these interviews, that he's like kind of half laughing when talking about and the way for people to, you know, sort of get back into a cash flow positive situation is to work more or spend less. And he's got this big awkward fuck smile on his face, because, like, obviously the guy is not good. He's not an extrovert. Let's put it that way. He's an introvert on the Myers-Briggs personality test, I think.
The rates went up again the other day.
Yay!
25 basis points.
Yay!
But after, there's an article that's come out this is the other thing as well, is that news.com.au and pretty much most news outlets are now sort of realizing there's a lot of anger out there. So they're sort of capitalizing that a little bit. So there's a lot of stuff criticizing Philip Lowe, I think, just because they want the hate clicks. But in this case here, there's an article here from News Corp where there was, after the previous rate rise, a fabulous dinner was put on at an exclusive Perth function venue where the RBA spent $25,000.
Ooh, that's a lot of meatballs.
Of taxpayer dollars.
Taxpayer dollars, like $176 a head. The very next day, Philip Lowe got up and said people need to work harder and spend less. You just need to tighten your belts, lads.
He's just like, it does a little cheeky vom out the side of his mouth because he's still pissed from the night before.
You've all got to tighten your belts, whilst mine got a little bit looser last night, if you know what I'm saying.
And it's so funny that, like, Phil Lowe is telling us to tighten our belts because he lives in a 5-bedroom house that's worth at least $3 million in one of Sydney's more wealthy suburbs.
It's a lovely area. I stayed in an apartment there last year for a little bit.
What's the name of the suburb?
Randwick.
So a 3-bedroom house in Randwick. The median price for a 3-bedroom house in Randwick is $3 million. So Philip Lowe has a 5-bedroom house in Randwick, so well in excess of $3 million.
Lucky fucker.
And he earns $911,000 a year in wages from the Australian people. So it does strike
insane. That, like, nearly $1 million a year salary.
Yeah. Salary.
Like, the Prime Minister doesn't get that much.
He is destroying his reputation in this job. So, I mean, there is an argument to be made that
it's
funny, the last job you'll ever get.
We will pay you a shit ton of money because by the end of this job, you will be the biggest pariah in the country because you are literally ripping families apart.
Well, it's easy to be Reserve Bank governor, I think, when everything's going well, because as you say, Tom, like, you're not even a household name if you're just keeping rates at 2%. And everything's chugging along and everyone's happy, and there's lots of asset price inflation and all the numbers, all the stocks are going up and the house prices are going up. Everyone's happy. Well, the people who own those assets at least are happy, are the ones with all the political power because they're the ones that have the money. So, you know, everyone's happy and no one knows the name of the Reserve Bank governor in that instance. But in a case of inflation and constantly raising rates. Even this last rate rise, there was a bit of like you're starting to hear some like sharper feedback from the government now, where they're going, "Oh, the RBA is independent; it's got nothing to do with us." But like, you know, Anthony Albanese was on. They said something about a mistake to do with inflation or the budget, and he goes, "Yeah, not as big of a mistake as saying that rates were going to stay consistent until 2024." I was like, "Holy shit!"
Oh, you just got burned.
Yeah, elbowed right in the face. Yeah. So Philip Lowe's, yeah, as you say, Adam, his tenure, his current contract is up at the end of September. No one expects that to be renewed. Everyone's pretty pissed off with him for raising rates. And it seems like this latest, like I think most of the sort of commerce finance community have been largely on board with the rate rises up until maybe sort of 3 months ago. And there was a pause, and then they raised them again, and then they've sort of gone, okay, like we're good. Like you've done what you came here to do. Like, let's just chill out. And Philip Lowe's like, no, I'm gonna go nuts. We're gonna take it to the moon, baby. Everyone's just like, no, you need to chill out. I think we're all done.
The thing is, like, I don't think it's so much like this is the thing, is inflation. It's not so much Philip Lowe. Philip Lowe's problem is that the decision to raise rates or not that's going to happen regardless of who the Reserve Bank governor is. But the issue, because look, you look at the UK at the moment, their inflation's going through the fucking roof. US is the same. The only tool that governments, central banks have is to raise interest rates to try and rein in inflation. Yeah. But the problem is there are other things that probably should also be happening. But
there should be things happening from a policy perspective as well in order to reduce inflation, in order to help the community. And there's things you can do, like use the power of government to increase supply in areas where there are blockages, or
increase migration, decrease migration,
raise migration. Yeah, as if you got more labor supply coming in, then you're going to have less people
spending so much on government projects.
And there's things that we need, program migrants for. Like there's this nursing scheme that Labor came up with and legislated about a year ago, which said in every nursing home there's going to be a one qualified nurse available 24/7, and that kicks in July 1st. And
they can't fill the gaps.
And they're not going to be able to fill the gap. So it's like, clearly we need more migration. And like, if there's a skill shortage, getting more migrants in, qualified migrants to fill those jobs makes sense. And that helps unblock supply. Yeah. But they could also do things like pricing controls. You could do a rent freeze, right? Some of the things that are causing this inflation, i.e. corporate profits, i.e. rents, like the government can control that. They can legislate that. Say for residential properties, for people in this income distribution, you don't get a rate rise this year. For 1 year, or 2 years, we're putting a freeze on any increases. And that would have a substantive effect on inflation. But they're not willing to do that because the government at no point wants to do anything more than just like tinkering at the sidelines with like, oh yeah, we're going to raise your taxes, but only if you've got a super balance of over $3 million and you're standing on your left foot and you live in Toorak. It only ever wants to tinker at the edges. It doesn't want to do any of these bold proposals because heaven forfend that a rich person goes without something for more than a couple of minutes.
Yeah, they go without one $25,000 dinner.
Yeah. It's so there is this real reticence there to actually do anything substantial that would help inflation. Yeah. But there are the Reserve Bank's tool is interest rates. That's all they've got. They can raise or lower interest rates. But the government has policy settings that it can shift and change, tinker with in order to help people who are doing it tough, and they're not choosing
at this
not
point
to do
now. Is that to what you're saying, and I agree, is that it's the Reserve Bank's just going to keep putting them up unless the government does something else. Because a lot of the issues
doesn't give a fuck. He knows he's on his way out. Phil knows he's on his way out. He's not getting another term. He goes, I'd be happy to come back if they'd have me. And they go, fuck off, Phil. Nobody wants you. Get the fuck out of here, Phil.
I think part of the issue is that, I think the problem with Philip Lowe is he says too much. He probably shouldn't say as much, to be fair. He says stuff that gets interpreted in different ways.
And he should wipe the fucking awkward smirk off his face when he says people should just work more hours in order to have more money, in order to not go under. Because it appears, and it is ludicrously out of touch Well, I saw this woman saying like, oh, he says, more people should be living in the same amount of dwellings and that'll free up housing supply. And it's good because the high prices will do that.
Share housing.
And a single mum was like, well, I got a 2-bedroom place. Do you want me to kick my son out onto the street? Like, where's the extra supply going to come from, bro? Like, it's so completely out of touch with regular Australians and how they're living their lives to just be like, oh, just get some more hours down at the fucking job factory. It's like, shut up, Phil. You work on an office with fucking spreadsheets. What the fuck do you get paid $1 million a year to sit on your ass and ruin people's lives? Like,
it is complicated for the government. There's not like a simple solution that'll fix it, because like you could increase migration, for instance, but that will also increase demand, which will further exacerbate the supply versus demand equilibrium, right? But yeah, there are key things like increasing housing supply, like in certain industries filling those gaps. Because look, if you look at where the inflation data is, health has gone up something like 6% or something. Because there's inflation, but that's the aggregate number, right? For all the different industries. Housing's gone up like 9.8% over the last 12 months.
How about contractors and nurses get expedited entrance into Australia? They're visa free and they get to settle here and they get to pay lower income tax for the next 12, 24 months. Like, there's things you could do to incentivize particular industries and particular labor markets to come in and help fill these gaps. But it seems like the government this week was arguing about, whether a minister in the Labor government knew or didn't know about the Brittany Higgins thing. I was just like, why are we wasting time on this nonsense story when there's actual things that could be is this what the government's focused on right now? Like, it just seems insane to me. But
it's pretty insane. And I just think, I feel like Mark McGowan's a WA Premier. I don't know why I said that. It's in the article. Mark McGowan was one of the guys that attended the dinner. That's why I'm saying that name. Philip Lowe. I think, I'm not really angry at him. I'm starting to get more angry.
Well, you don't have a mortgage, mate.
No, but like, it's not. But the thing is, if they don't raise interest rates, like, that's also bad.
But I don't know why. I don't know why interest rates are the tool that we all agreed at some point. Like, because there was some reporting on this from the ABC this week where they interviewed
very basic,
people.
Blunt tool.
It's so blunt in that it doesn't affect the people who are spending money. The people who are spending money right now and causing some of this inflation are rich boomers who have their houses paid off. So you could raise the interest rate to 11 trillion %, and it doesn't fucking matter because they haven't got they haven't got a mortgage. So the only people that are paying the cost of this are people like me, people that are in their, we've just bought into the housing market.
Late 20s, early 30s, just bought a house. Yeah.
We've overextended ourselves to try and get into the housing market because we want to have kids and we want a place that is like permanently ours in order to store those children, right?
Yep. Got to put them in a drawer.
And the only way to do that is by stretching yourself to the limit to borrow as much as you're possibly allowed to borrow in order to be able to get into these overpriced homes. And now we're at the stage of our mortgage where we've got the biggest mortgage we're ever going to have because we've just started paying it down, and our interest rates are shooting through the roof. So that the only people that are suffering are these like millennials, sort of people our age who have just got into the property market, still have a big debt, and we've also got other challenges and factors working against us, like our huge HECS debts and being slow to start our careers by, starting in the global financial crisis was when we still all started our careers. There's been very minimal wage growth across the board. So it's like, why are you punishing this one sect of people
it's just
in order to offset the spending for the rest of the economy? The rest of the economy is so big.
Because the thing is, George, these systems were put in place well before the economic circumstances we find ourselves in.
40% of people.
That's the answer. Like, it's the only blunt tool we've got, and no one has thought of a better one.
40% of people don't own homes to begin with. So raising interest rates doesn't change their spending habits at all. Another, 20-30% have owned their homes for years and have a minimal or no mortgage.
That floats down to renters.
Okay, but that happens what? Well, how often do you get to reset your rentals?
Once every 6 months,
a year?
I think, if you're in Sydney.
Okay, so it's like
if you're in...
so we're talking about a lag time there that has no practical effect, or at least not for a good amount of time, in terms of how much money it takes out of the economy. What we're doing is we're punishing young parents who, you know, I'm about to drop to a situation where my wife's pregnant. We're about to have a baby. I'm about to drop to one income, okay, for the whole family. And our mortgage is getting to the stage where it's going to be twice as expensive as it was previously because it's a larger mortgage now. And the interest rate is, you know, more than doubled since we initially had our loan. Like, it's going to be a situation where a bunch of people like me are going to be treading water or going backwards. And then the other 70% of the economy is just going to be going, oh, it's expensive to go to a restaurant, isn't it? Oh, it's hard. It's when I took my flights, it was real expensive because of inflation. And it's like, well, how does that we're punishing one small specific area of the economy in order to like right size everything else? It just makes no sense. Like, how is this the methodology that we've arrived at?
Because 50, 60 years ago, it made sense because class distribution was much more, you know, less as what it is now, basically.
And then on the flip side, those people will also be looking at anyone our age who's like, I'm not interested in buying a house or having kids, kind of thing, because of the situation.
Yeah, and they
They're
go,
like,
why is our population not growing?
Have kids.
Where's the workforce? Why is our population not growing? Well, because it's like monstrously. I was thinking about doing this, basically doing a video and like explain, here's my budget. Here is my monthly budget. Here are all my costs. Here are my income. Explain to me how this fucking makes sense. Like, I want someone to sit down and go, here's where you went wrong, because we haven't gone wrong. We've done everything right. We've worked hard. We haven't fucking gone on holidays. We've saved. We've invested. You know, like, we even bought a property earlier on to get our foot in the door and then sold it at a profit. Like,
George, what you're talking about,
we did all the correct things.
We're getting to market failure. Is the answer. No, what we're pointing at is that the systems are developed for an economy from the 1930s.
Yeah.
The market that we find ourselves in is edging towards failure.
Yeah.
Now the question will be: the government's previously said, "Well, there's a really narrow path to not go into recession."
Oh, fuck
well,
that.
we're obviously
Nonsense.
going to go into recession.
Obviously going into recession.
The question being is: will it be like a sort of a bell curve, or are we going to go off a cliff where all of a sudden everything just like we end up in the 1920s overnight?
Well, I hope I don't lose my job, because if I'm the single income earner and my wife's not working because we've just had a baby and interest rates keep going up and I lose my job, we're out of a fucking house. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a case of just like, oh, you know, like I might have a little bit less money to spend on a pair of fuzzy, you know, cat headphones or something. Like, got to take a little bit of extra steam out of the economy. Like, we're talking about a situation where if interest rates keep going up at this rate, people are going to lose their homes. People are going to become homeless and lose their properties and get kicked out of their homes, potentially be underwater on their mortgages if housing prices have declined and they've put 5% up front because of all these fucking schemes that the Scott Morrison government put in place, saying, oh, you could use your super and come in with a 2% deposit and a hand job, and you too can have a $900,000 loan because it big ups the property industry. Like, those people are going to be fucking homeless if this keeps going on like this. Like, there needs to be some sort of solution.
Yeah, the solution is build more houses, but that's also a problem because there's no one to build them. Or no money to either, because of trade. And get steel and timber done quickly. Anyway,
George just exploded.
It's just in flames. Anyway, so yeah, we've harped on about inflation for a bit, but basically, shit's fucked. The inflation rate is slowly going down. Like, it went from, I think, 6.9 to 6.8 in terms of the, what do they call it? We use the middle band, mean inflation or whatever the fuck it's called. But whether or not it keeps going down will. And this is the other thing. Like, we'd only have, I think, inflation data that's released every quarter, if I'm not mistaken, whereas other countries have it every sort of month. So we're on a more frequent basis. So we're basing all these steps that they're taking to reduce, or to increase interest rates. We don't, as George said, we don't know what the net effect of that is until
months,
6 months,
quarters
7
later.
months down the track. There's a bunch of people coming off fixed rate loans very soon.
Yeah.
What's that going to do?
Welcome to the party, kids. It's fucked.
See, I'm assuming there'll be some distress selling, but apparently distress selling actually went down last month. So
Well, because I think people are doing everything that they can in order to avoid, they're cutting out all their discretionary spending in order to put that money into their mortgage. And you're seeing that in the retail sales, right? Retail across various sectors is down in the dumps right now. They're running, crazy promotions, all these sorts of things to get people in the door and buying, because it's the worst retail sales quarter since the pandemic started, since the worst of the pandemic. So clearly the money's being drained out from elsewhere in order for people to spend it on their mortgage to stay in their house. Distressed selling is the very last thing. You sell your shares, you sell your car, you do everything you can before you have to distressed sell your house. So the fact that we're even talking about getting close to that is pretty scary, right?
Cause for concern, yeah.
Yeah. And I know the cash rate's only 3.85%. And when I was a kid, the cash rate was 1,100%, and we paid $15,000 a year.
Yeah, but the house
just
price
in interest.
Had to go to years of your annual income as opposed
had to go to the bank for our loan, uphill both ways.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's like, I get it, but you also didn't have a $900,000 loan that's doubled in price over the last 18 months. We're not talking apples for apples here. You earned 20 grand a year back in the day, and your house was 40 grand a year. You could have bought it in cash. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't need to take out a fucking, if you were as good at saving as I have to be now in order to get into the housing market, you'd have fucking 10 houses, because you could have bought them outright in cash, because that's what houses cost back then.
And they probably do.
Yeah, they do. And they have a property for, and they go, I'm a self-made man. All I do, I've got 117 properties, and that's all just me. That's my fucking property investing genius.
Yeah, I invented that.
not riding a once in a lifetime property boom and just happening to be at the right place at the right time.
Now,
and also driving the prices up in doing so as well.
Yeah.
Now, I wondered, speaking of huge downers, I guess would be the theme of that whole economic shit show. What do we think's a bigger downer? I'd argue one would be on a global scale, the other on a certain individual scale. That we've got an El Niño coming up, or that Boris Johnson is resigning from UK Parliament, which is the bigger downer.
Just to be clear, an El Niño is a Spanish festival. Is that correct?
I believe it's a large wooden ship.
A large wooden ship.
Yes, it is a large wooden weather ship. That just plows on through your electricity bill.
I believe it means
solar.
I believe it means Saint Diego.
And no, not great for solar, Adam, as it turns out. I found this fascinating. Let's talk about El Niño. Fuck my question. Let's talk about El Niño. Boris, but sorry, Bojo. Too bad, too sad. Fuckity bye. You sucked. Let's talk about the weather event. So, yes, we might remember the La Niña weather event that happened fairly recently, where everything is cold and wet, colder and extremely wet throughout the summer period. We're about 70% chance that we're going to get the opposite this upcoming summer, to have an El Niño, which is everything's going to be real hot and real dry. So yeah, we love a hot, dry summer here in Australia. It doesn't spell, the apocalypse. As it always does. We see lovely fires and smoke and everything falling to shit whenever one of these happens. So that's,
I know it's obviously bad.
That's something to look forward to.
It's obviously bad for the global climate situation, but I've got a backyard that's very severely flooded at the moment, and so
so you want a hot, dry summer?
I wouldn't mind a little bit of a hot, dry summer.
Just getting married next year as well. It'd be great if I've got a better outlook for a sunny day.
Oh yeah, you'll have a lovely sunny day, Adam, while the backdrop fucking looks like Mad Max Fury Road.
But that haze, that orange haze, looks great at golden hour for the photos.
Oh, so, yeah, that orange haze. The photos will look great. You won't even need to fake tan, like just the reflection of the orange onto you. It'll be great. It'll look like a Donald Trump lookalike contest in all your wedding photos. And
Adam at his wedding saying, "I'm an innocent man."
Yep.
I haven't done any crimes.
Have not done any crimes. I'm just here to get married. And George, you can have a nice controlled burn off in your backyard. It'll be lovely. So meteorologists are, predicting about a 70% chance that we'll have an El Nino event. And this is very bad.
It's real
Because
bad.
it'll not only will it be like, oh fuck, it'll be hot and dry and maybe fires and all that.
My backyard aside, it is very bad news.
Oh yeah. Like I know, and there's the obvious things of, it'll be hot and dry. Bushfire season will be even more likely under those conditions, and so that's obviously bad. But it also adds into the economic problems that we were talking about there before, in that everyone will be wanting to be obviously cooling their homes as best as possible, either through air conditioning or fans or whatever they can afford, which needs electricity. So, and with electricity prices going through the roof, that will be much more expensive to do. But also, because of the high demand, given how fucking hot it's going to be, there might not be enough electricity to be supplying to everybody and might need rolling blackouts. And the reason that we might need rolling blackouts is because, funnily enough, while more sun might mean, oh yay, solar, more heat means less power conducted through the cabling to actually supply electricity. Like that's the part of this I found interesting. It's like, oh, it'll be sunnier, we'll just go to renewables. Like, we have enough renewables. Like, yeah, but the actual infrastructure is less effective in high heat.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, so less power is conducted via the current infrastructure in these kind of extreme circumstances. Yeah, so it's like, oh, we can just produce more power. It's like you have to produce a shit ton more power to get the same kind of efficiency for the demand that we're gonna have.
So aside from doing rooftop solar and a battery storage on your own house, what's the
I don't fucking know. 10 years ago, we should have built a better electricity grid. That's what we should have done.
20, 30 years ago. I mean, Victoria's transitioning back to the State Electricity Commission to try and sort of grab a hold of the whole situation. But, I mean, the fact is, with the new environmental laws, there will be less coal-fired power stations, which give you a little bit more flexibility in terms of the way you can scale up or down the grid. I don't know what they're going to do.
Oh, it fucks hydroelectric as well if it's going to be hotter and drier and less rain. So hydroelectric plants.
Tasmania's dams at the moment are full for, I think, most catchments in Victoria as well, at least are full. But I do remember, this is the other thing. El Nino and La Niña, we oscillate between the two. It's not like a new thing. We oscillate between these two cycles on a sort of 3-year basis, right?
But when this sits on top of the existing sort of things that are happening as a result of climate change, then
they're more extreme. Yeah.
So where we were getting floods last year, I think 2019, I think it's when we came out of the last El Nino. We had probably the worst bushfire in Victoria that we've ever seen, and New South Wales as well. So you're going back to that. So look, things will take a while to dry out, but we're talking a matter of months to dry out. And then once they're dry, and things are bad. Catchments will, be okay for, 12 months maybe. But
fire up the desalination plant. Let's go, boys.
That desal plant's been sitting there basically waiting to go.
Ready to go.
But I mean, it'll probably get used, I reckon, in the next 4 years if this is as bad as they're saying it's going to be. And there's obviously varying degrees of this as well. But now, to be clear, the bomb in Australia, sorry, we can't say bomb anymore, Bureau of Meteorology.
No, I think we can go back to bomb. They gave up, remember?
They gave up? Okay,
don't call us the bomb anymore. Call us the Bureau. And we're all like, we're not going to do that. We're calling you the bomb. And they said, yeah, okay. We tried.
Marketing just gave up. Go with what the people want.
Yeah.
So they're saying there's a warning, as Tom said, I think a 70% chance.
Yeah, I think it was meteorologists in America, I think, were predicting this kind of thing maybe across the world.
Meteorologists in America are saying we're already in it.
Yeah. And BOM have said, they're kind of they're teasing maybe it'll be an El Nino, but they're not committing yet.
Yeah, I mean, the reason being is that Australia's got very particular, the way they measure it slightly differently in Australia in terms of the conditions that we've got. So they're looking at water temperatures as well as temperatures in the atmosphere and other bits and pieces as well. Obviously, in Australia, we've got a big fucking oven in the middle of the country, which changes the way air flows throughout the country as well.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing, that's another good point. Now, apart from the bushfires and the lack of drinking water, the Great Barrier Reef does not do well in warm water. Now, it's been recovering over the last couple of years. I mean, I went to Port Douglas last year. Just going to name drop a few little holidays I went on. But they said on one of the tours,
you must not have a mortgage.
I do not have a mortgage, but I am probably I'm about to get stuffed by a rent increase in the next 3 months. But they said that the Great Barrier Reef has actually been recovering reasonably well in that area that I was in, which is sort of far north Queensland. But yeah, obviously it doesn't take a whole lot for water temperatures to go back, a degree or something like that. 2
you're
degrees.
talking about these sort of mass bleaching events that happen when the coral reef is the water's too hot and that sort of stuff.
And even just the fish. I remember I always talk about this a lot. There was some fuck off bushfires in Canberra when I was 14, 13, so in the early noughties. And the fires reached the zoo, the National Zoo in Canberra. And, they took all these precautions to stop the animals being in any danger. They actually opened all the cages on the perimeter and just let the bears and the tigers and shit roam free in the middle. Obviously, there were no people in the zoo. But
Bear tiger fight.
Maybe. But there was one animal casualty in the whole zoo, and it was a shark. Because the water temperature rose. So they are, I think it rose a degree or two. So small amount, that's enough. So yeah, it's not only the coral bleaching, but just the animals in the ocean. If the water gets too hot, they'll die. So yeah, and I love sharks. So fucking don't kill the sharks. Do something about climate change. Assholes.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess the problem is that we're doing stuff about climate change, but it's too late.
Yeah.
And it's also making everything else worse because it's fucking electricity grid at the same time.
Woohoo! It's all good though. Got a hybrid. So
got a hybrid.
Right?
Yeah, we're going to have a gas-fed recovery, guys.
Yeah.
And,
I don't use plastic straws anymore, so I'm doing my bit.
So I'm pretty sure here at Unnatural Selection, we fucking nailed it. Climate change, sorted.
Yep. Don't worry, fucking, BP. You don't have to pay any tax or whatever. We're recycling our coffee cups. I'm taking a keep cup every day, so you're clear for any taxes.
It's so funny that you say that about BP. I remember reading a story a couple of weeks ago which said something to the effect of BP has basically abandoned its climate change targets because fossil fuel prices are so high. They're just okay, we want to reduce fossil fuel usage and yada yada yada, but we could make a lot of money by selling more fossil fuel. So
really,
we're going to do that. We're just going to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, so really, they looked at the market and were like, we're here for a good time, not a long time.
100%. Yeah. And then you know for sure the BP guys hang out with the Philip Morris guys. They're just they're smoking a cigarette next to a tank of petrol going, well, it was a good run, wasn't it?
Just bashing their cigarettes into a tank of petrol.
Into the tank of petrol.
It's
this guy.
It's good to be the king.
That's what I imagine. They're just hanging out going, so you guys are pure evil as well. Yeah, it pays good, though.
Isn't it? Mr. Black in The Simpsons. Gentlemen, too evil.
Yeah, too evil.
Raise their glasses.
Yeah, 100%.
Adam didn't get that reference. But yeah, so that's the bleak future that is approaching us for summer, but I now live not too far from Bondi, so maybe it'll just be lovely beach weather. So swings and roundabouts.
If all the fish are dead, then you'll have no sharks in the ocean either to be worried about.
Well, then you can swim safely in the beaches. They can take the shark nets down if we've killed all the marine wildlife.
Oh, well, I mean, also, but the shark nets fucking kill more sharks than they should. But
yeah, but if there's no sharks, you don't need to worry about it.
Well, then you may as well leave the nets up. They're ethical at that point. They're not killing anything.
The moral complexity of leaving sharks nets up if there are no more sharks. A discussion. All right. Well, let's. I'm just wondering if I could. And we're finishing on a joke. There we go. On that note, we have been, we are, and we always will be Unnatural Selection. Make sure you visit us at our salubrious home on the web, unnaturalshow.com. Make sure you follow me on all the bullshit social medias that have, do, or ever will exist at Unnatural. Follow the show at Unnatural Show, and follow me at George Tsibos. Follow Tom on.
You threw me.
I fucked it up.
You threw me. So I was like, wait, is there more? You can follow me on Twitter at Tom D Heath.
And you can follow me down to the deep, dark part of George's mind where he forgot to use the button that he specifically cued for joyous use throughout the show, and then ham-fisted it in at the end.
Thanks for listening, guys. I love your faces. I'll see you next week. I will. Alone.
We will.
Just
alone.
Collective.
No, Adam, you and I have that thing, remember?
Oh, yeah.
You're
Yeah,
starting a competing podcast that also records at 4 p.m. on Sundays.
Yeah.
Which is a flex, I'll be honest.
It's called the No Georges Allowed Club.
Oh, no. And you've already got a George, so you can't have a second George. So stupid. Thanks for listening, guys. Love your faces. We'll see you next week.